Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC.com. I'm Siobhan Riley. Great to be with you on this Saturday. The time right now is 7:30. Next, we're going to hear from a high school senior, Indea Brown. She is a high school senior at Central Academy of Technology and Arts, and we're going to talk about the steps that people in her community, including herself, are taking to combat crime. Indea, it's so great to be with you. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday.
Oh my goodness, thank you for having me.
I know that you could be doing anything else, but we really appreciate you being with us. It means a lot that you took time out of your schedule to be here. And you served on a panel recently talking about ways to combat youth crime. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Well, of course, I go to Central Academy of Technology and Arts. In the fall, I will be attending Winston-Salem State University. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I plan to major in nursing, and I have recently been thinking about minoring in public relations or communications.
Wow, great thing to do. Nursing, communications. Just talk a little bit before we get you talking about the panel that you served on. What would something about you that no one would ever know, that you want people to know?
Wow, something about me that people wouldn't know. Mm-hmm. I just want to help people. Mm-hmm. That is genuinely my goal in life, whether it's by advocating or, of course, right now I'm a licensed CNA working with my community. It just does something for my soul, and it grows me as a person.
Mm-hmm. And I picked up on that because I had an opportunity to meet you probably less than a month ago in Monroe. We were in Monroe, yes, in Union County, and we were talking about crime, and you were serving on a youth panel where they were talking to youth, and they wanted to get your opinion about ways to combat crime in the community. And just to share some data with you, the police chief in Monroe, he says that though crime is down by 34% in Monroe, he says when it comes to juvenile crime, that is an area that the department is really concentrating on because they are seeing violent acts when it comes to juveniles, car break-ins, murders. And he says in some cases, the people committing these crimes are as young as 10 years old. That is extremely young. And Dea, when you spoke on that panel, what were some of the things that you told police that you wanted to see happen in your community to keep people like yourself safe and your friends?
So I did speak especially about working in our community. So get out, make yourself known. A lot of our children are scared of the police, especially in Monroe. We are a very diverse community. There are especially a lot of minorities in our community, and having a police presence is not always negative. That it could be positive, and this could just be, oh, we're all at the park playing basketball, and that's something that they were working on as well. But just making yourself known in our community is something that's very important.
What are some of your biggest concerns when it comes to crime right now in your community?
That not only is it getting worse, but like you said, the children involved are getting younger. It's no longer my age, like 18, 16. Like these children are 8 and 10 years old, and they are being faced with so much violence and just hostility at such a young age that it could only elevate the rate that crime is going at right now in Monroe.
And you said you know someone firsthand who was killed by gun violence. Tell us about that.
Yes.
You know a few people.
Yes. So Nevaeh Carter and Kamari Blunt, we all went to middle school together. We all went to Sun Valley Middle School, and it was just a big community. Of course, we were all so young, so we all knew each other. We all were in classes together, and I was able to speak with them both on multiple occasions. I knew Nevaeh more and a lot of her friends, and seeing the impact of not only her death, but the death of Kamari, it was heartbreaking.
And this is the time of year, the reason this is so important is because police have been telling us, especially the Monroe Police Chief, he says he wants to get ahead of the problem because as we start to go into the warmer months, that is when you see crime start to go up. So, Indea, what advice would you give people in your community? Because when we were at that meeting, sometimes people may not listen to the police. Sometimes they may not always listen to their parents or their teachers, but sometimes they'll listen to their peers. So if you could give your peers some advice, what would you say to them?
I would say look to your community. I know in Monroe we have so many organizations who are here to help not only students of color but just students period. So I know that there's an HBCU push going around. They're out here trying to make sure that our children are in an environment where you can learn about your future. That's something that you should definitely get involved in. Always being involved in what your future will look like is extremely important because you never know what's going to happen.
After you met with police in Monroe, because there were several children, I'm not going to call you children, several teens who were serving on that panel. After you met with police in Monroe and community leaders, what happened next? Or did anything happen next?
So I know that it takes a minute for things to get organized and for community outreach initiatives to be put in action, but I personally haven't seen so much change. I know that they are working with the organization that I just mentioned to possibly have another youth summit sort of around teen violence. But other than that, I really haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything new.
And that's really interesting because, you know, we can have conversations over and over and over, but action is what people in the community want to see. What would you say to police about let's not just have these conversations, but let's talk about what action is going to happen following that?
Yes, so I would like to say to police, when are you guys going to make yourself known? Like, I am constantly out and about, and I only ever see the police when, of course, I know it's a very busy job. Like, I can only imagine it's dangerous, it's busy, but I never see you guys unless you were asked to be there. Like, what if you just want to show up? Like, you know something is happening in the community. You guys are the heart of our community, our protectors. I know that you guys know that the more things are going on, and we would just love to see more of a community, like, connection rather than you're here to just guard us. Come and enjoy the event with us and just show that we can all not only be serious, but we can help each other grow as a community.
And talk about the importance of having those relationships with police in the community and community leaders.
Yes, now I know me personally, I'm very close with our SROs. I know multiple SROs have moved to serve more in the police format these last couple of years, but building that connection through school has been so important to me. Like, you see someone who is here to protect you, and that's very important, but building that connection is very important.
Any final thoughts that you want to add? Anything else that you think we're leaving out that you want to say to people in your community or law enforcement?
I do want to say, parents, when your children are young, make sure that they are getting involved. I know there are so many, especially our D9 brothers and sisters, who are out here trying to help our children and make sure that they are interested in their future and their career. What do you want to be when you grow up? Making sure that your children are in these camps or in these, like, 2-hour sessions just to get them in the pool of, I want something better. I want to see something better. That's very important. And even if your children are of the age of me, like they're 18, just tell them, hey, like, look on Instagram. Like, is there anything out there in your community? Is your school hosting, like, a movie theater night? I know my school did that. Like, make sure that they're getting involved in other things that aren't always like, oh, we're going to Walmart, we're going to cook out, you know?
And I'm glad you brought up parents, because when we talked to the police chief in Monroe and I asked him about what is his advice to parents, and he said parents need to be parents. There were cases where I've been talking to police and they say a lot of times they are called out to homes because the parents are afraid of their children. Now, your mother's here right now, and I'm going to bet your mom, I'm sure she doesn't play, right?
No, she does not play. She does not play.
Talk about the importance of having someone like your mother. And I mean, it's time for kids should not be afraid of their parents. That
Yes.
should not be happening.
It should not, and especially parents should never be afraid of their children. I think that that gets.
Or I'm sorry, I should have said parents should not be afraid of their children. Let me rephrase that.
Yes.
Parents should not be afraid of their children.
Yes, like you are 50. You should not be afraid of an 18-year-old. That path of open communication should always be there. and the importance. My mom has been in education for 20 years, so long before I was born, she was learning how to parent some kids. So when she comes to me and she's just like, "Oh, and Day, you better get your life together," I snap right back into everything I have going on.
Yeah, parents have to be parents, right?
Yes.
And it's funny because I'm looking at you and it reminds me of my younger self, and I'm going to tell you, Minnie Riley, if she said, if you don't sit down, trust me, I was going to sit down. And don't let her say, I'm going to tell your dad, because I knew it was over then.
Oh, when she mentions my dad, everything shuts down. I say, okay.
But it is so important. And when you think about, when you hear police say that they're called out to these homes sometimes and the parents are saying they don't know how to discipline their children, how does that make you feel? What do you think when you hear that?
When I hear that, I'm just wondering how your child grew up. Just because if you don't know how to discipline them now, what steps did you take when they were younger to make sure that they knew, hey, please don't do this. This is not appropriate for this setting. Which kind of makes all the sense when you look at the situation that we're in now. If we never grew up with any rules or regulations from our parents and that parenting aspect, where does that lead us now? We're spiraling out of control when we're older because we're not sure how to deal with authority and change.
And you are heading to college. You're heading to Winston-Salem State. And what would your advice even be when you get to college? Because you're still going to be dealing with a lot of young people and you're going to have a lot of influence. What would your advice be to them as well?
So definitely, it's going to be a big change. Change comes every single day, whether you're switching schools or you're really just out and about and something that you would have never expected happen. Just making sure that you have a trusted adult. I know when I get on campus, first thing I want to do, I want to find someone that I can trust and make sure that I build a connection with some type of adult or older peer so that I can make sure that I have a safe place if things ever get too scary for me.
And the last question I'm going to ask you before we let you go, because the next topic we're going to talk about is some programs for students to keep them occupied during the summer. How important is it for students like yourself and people who are younger than you, they're probably not going to college right now? How important are those resources?
Very important. Getting in tune now, whether it's educationally, like if you're providing resources that will help kids who are interested in STEM be more involved in the STEM community, making sure that you're doing something that you're interested in and something that you love and finding that passion early and parents nurturing that passion early is just as important. Our kids should not just be at home all day while mommy and daddy are at work. That leads them to do things that we cannot control because you're not there to watch us.
Well said. And Daya Brown, we really appreciate you being with us today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
And wishing you the very best at Winston-Salem State. You're going to do very well.
Oh, thank you so much.
I know you are going to soar. You seem like you have just so much potential ahead of you, and you seem like you're a really great leader. So we are definitely wishing you the best. Continue to lead and continue to do well and make us proud.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Well, we will be back right after the break, and we're going to talk about some of those school programs that are helping teens this summer, especially as we've been talking about. Police have said that during the summer months, that is when they see a lot of youth crime spike. So we're going to tell you about some of those programs that parents need to know about. Stay with us.